I remember the way his hand slid up my thigh like it had every right to be there. And I let him. Not because I wanted him to. Not because I loved him. But because I wanted to know what it would feel like to disappear. The air in that hotel room was heavy, the kind of thick that made it hard to breathe, and everything smelled like cheap whiskey and something sweeter, like betrayal. He didn't even say my name when he kissed me. Just pushed me gently onto the bed, like I was a gift he'd been promised for keeping a secret. And I didn't stop him. I'd already made peace with the fact that I didn't matter to him. But I still hoped, somewhere deep down, that maybe, just maybe, he'd wake up the next morning and look at me like I was more than a convenience. Spoiler, he didn't. And the worst part? I knew he was hers when I let him take off my dress. I knew she was waiting at home with no idea who he really was. But that night, I told myself lies so I could feel wanted. And now, years later, I still taste the guilt on my tongue. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're alone. You'll need a minute to breathe after this. He was my friend before he was my mistake. That's the part one always forgets to say when people ask me what happened. We used to laugh, late-night texts, dumb memes, venting about our jobs, our exes, everything. He made me feel like I wasn't invisible, and that kind of attention? It's addictive when you've been starved of it for years. His name was Chris. Tall. Effortless smile. The kind of guy who walks into a room and gravity shifts. Everyone notices. And you tell yourself it's harmless when you catch yourself staring a little too long. That it's just a crush. Just someone to fantasize about when the world feels gray. We met through mutuals. My best friend dated his roommate, so we all ended up in the same circle. Game nights. Brunches. Drunk birthday parties. He was always around. And at first, I didn't see it. I didn't see how he looked at me when no one else was watching. But one night, I caught it. That flash in his eyes. Like I wasn't just his friend anymore. I should have shut it down. I should have drawn a line. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep down, I liked that look. It started slow. A flirty comment here. A too long hug there. One night, he offered to drive me home after a party. I was tipsy. My mascara had smudged. And he looked at me like I was the only person left in the world. "You okay?" he asked, his voice low, careful. I nodded, even though I wasn't. He reached out and brushed hair out of my face. His thumb lingered near my cheek. "You're beautiful, you know that?" I laughed. "Don't mess with me. I'm not." "You have a girlfriend, Chris." He didn't respond right away. Just stared at me like that fact didn't matter. Like it was just a technicality. We didn't kiss that night. But something broke open between us. Some boundary that could never be rebuilt. After that, he texted me more. More personal. More late at night. "Wish you were here. Can't stop thinking about you." I tried to resist. I really did. I even muted our thread at one point. But every time I saw his name pop up, my heart beat faster. Then came the night. The night that changed everything. It was my birthday. My actual boyfriend had forgotten. Sent me a lazy happy birthday text at noon. No call. No dinner. No flowers. Chris, on the other hand, showed up at my door with a bottle of red wine and takeout from my favorite Thai spot. You shouldn't be alone, he said. I'm not alone. I have myself. He grinned. And me. We drank. We watched some stupid rom-com, and then, as the credits rolled and the room got quiet, he turned to me and said, "Can I ask you something?" Sure. Why are you with someone who makes you feel like you're hard to love? That question sliced through me. Because I didn't have an answer. I stared at him. At his mouth. At the way his fingers were slowly, deliberately moving closer to mine on the couch. Chris. Just tell me to leave. I didn't. I didn't say a word. And then he kissed me. It wasn't rough. It wasn't desperate. It was soft. Slow. Like he was savoring every second. Like he wanted to memorize the way I tasted. He carried me to the bedroom. And I let him do anything he wanted. Every touch felt like a confession. Every breath like a betrayal. And the whole time, I kept thinking, this isn't love. This is loneliness in disguise. But I didn't stop it. Because for one night, I didn't want to be the girl who settled. I wanted to be chosen. Even if it was just pretend. The next morning, he was already dressed when I woke up. I asked him if he was okay. He didn't look at me. Just muttered, "Yeah. I just need to figure things out." Then he left. No kiss. No promise. Just silence. I thought that night would change something. Not the world, not even him, just us. I kept thinking he'd text. That he'd say something. That maybe he felt what I felt. But 2 days passed. Then 5. Nothing. I told myself he was confused. That he needed time to figure out what to do about her. I clung to every half memory of that night, his hands on my waist, the way he whispered my name like it meant something. I even replayed it in my mind like a movie, hoping if I watched it enough times, the ending would change. But it didn't. He finally texted me on day 6. One line. No emojis. We should talk. He asked to meet at a coffee shop across town, somewhere no one we knew would see us. I wore makeup, like an idiot. Like it was a date. He sat down across from me, eyes tired, jaw tight. That night shouldn't have happened, he said, not even waiting for the first sip of his drink. I felt my stomach drop. He kept going. I've been with Megan for 3 years. She doesn't deserve this. I stared at him, silent. Look, he said, I care about you, okay? I do. But I was drunk, Anne. I don't know what I was thinking. That hurt more than anything. The way he erased it. I wanted to scream. You weren't drunk. You knew what you were doing. But all I said was, so what happens now? He looked out the window. We go back to normal. Normal. As if there was ever such a thing. After that, I avoided our friend group. I told my best friend I was just busy, and when Chris tried to text, I left him on read. He didn't chase me. And maybe that's what stung most. But a few weeks later, I saw him again. A mutual friend's rooftop party. I hadn't planned on going, but my roommate dragged me out of bed, saying I needed to stop sulking. He was there, holding Megan's hand. I froze when I saw them. She looked radiant. Sunlight in her hair, smile wide, totally in love with the man standing next to her. And him? He acted like he didn't even know me. Not a glance. Not a flicker. I thought I'd feel shame. I didn't. I felt rage. How dare he make me feel like I was the one who crossed the line? Like I was the problem? He kissed me. He undressed me. He made promises with his body and then buried me like a mistake. So I did something stupid. I waited until Megan went to the bathroom. Then I walked up to him. Alone. Calm. Smiling. "Hi, stranger," I said. His jaw tightened. "What are you doing?" "Just wanted to say hi." "You looked happy." He glanced around. "Don't do this." "Do what?" I tilted my head. "Say hi to an old friend?" His voice dropped. "If she finds out, it'll ruin everything." I leaned in close. "Maybe it should." I left before she came back. But something shifted after that. He started texting again. Quietly. Carefully. "Can we talk? I miss you." That night. I think about it too. I didn't respond at first. But you already know how this goes. I gave in. Again. Only this time, it wasn't one night. It became a routine. He'd come to me when she was out of town, or after they fought. I became his escape. His release. The safe place he could hide all the things he couldn't tell her. And for a while, I let myself believe that was enough. Because he told me things he didn't tell anyone. Like how she made him feel small. Like how he thought about leaving, but was too scared. Like how I understood him in ways she never could. He'd hold me after, tracing circles on my back, whispering, if things were different. And I'd whisper back, I know. But if is a word that drowns you slowly. You keep holding your breath, waiting for reality to shift, for someone to choose you. But he never did. And I started to wonder, maybe I didn't want to be chosen. Maybe I just didn't know how to be alone. It was around 2 a.m. when my phone rang. Unknown number. Normally I wouldn't answer, but something told me to. Some twisted instinct, like my guilt had been waiting for this moment. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. Soft. Shaky. Is this the girl who's been seeing my boyfriend? My throat closed. I didn't even have to ask who it was. Megan. My first instinct was to deny. To lie. To protect myself. But something in her tone, it wasn't angry. It wasn't even accusing. It was broken. And I knew that sound because I'd made it myself. I just need to know the truth, she said, barely above a whisper. Please. I'm not calling to scream at you. I've known something was wrong for months, and he swears there's no one else, but I feel it. And I saw the way he looked at you at Rachel's party. Like you were a secret he missed. I closed my eyes. Megan. That's all I need. Just tell me I'm not crazy. I took a breath. And I shattered her world. Yes. Silence. Not even crying. Just the kind of quiet that feels like the air's been sucked out of the room. Then she said, "Thank you." And hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I kept waiting for Chris to call. To yell. To accuse me of ruining his life. But he didn't. Not that night. He showed up at my door the next evening. "What the hell did you do?" he snapped, storming inside before I could even speak. "She deserved to know," I said. "You had no right." "I had every right," I shouted. "You used me. Lied to her. Lied to me. I won't be your silence anymore." He paced the room, hands on his head, eyes wild. "You just destroyed everything." I stood there, barefoot in my living room, wearing the same hoodie I always wore when he stayed over. The one he once said smelled like comfort. I said, "No, Chris. You destroyed everything. I just stopped helping you hide the mess." He stared at me like he didn't even recognize me anymore. And maybe he didn't. Because for once, I wasn't begging. I wasn't waiting. I was done. He left without saying goodbye. I thought that was the end. That I'd burned every bridge and could finally move on. But the guilt doesn't just disappear when you do the right thing too late. It lingers. It infects. I tried dating again. But every guy felt like a distraction I couldn't commit to. I kept wondering if I'd become the villain in someone else's story. Until one night, a message came through. "Megan." I hesitated before opening it. But curiosity, shame, maybe won. "I thought I'd hate you." I did, for a while. But then I realized, he lied to both of us. And I want to hate him more. But I don't. And that's the part that breaks me the most. I stared at the screen for a long time. I'm not reaching out for closure. I don't think I'll ever get that. I just needed to say, you weren't the only one who wanted to be chosen. I cried harder after that message than I ever did for him. Because it was the first time I saw myself in her. Not just the girl who made the wrong choice. But the girl who was also lied to. The girl who hoped too hard. Who believed the words whispered between sheets. Who thought maybe this time, she'd be the exception. But love, when built on betrayal, doesn't bloom. It withers. Slowly. Painfully. And even now, I still think about that night. Not because I want to go back. But because part of me is still standing in that hotel room. Wondering if I'd still let him undress me. If I could do it all over again. Years have passed. Seasons changed. I moved to a different city. New apartment. New job. Even changed my hair, like somehow that would cleanse the old versions of me. But some ghosts don't care about zip codes or hairstyles. Some hauntings are internal. Chris is one of those ghosts. I don't think about him every day anymore. But sometimes, when the light hits my bedroom a certain way, or I hear a voice that sounds like his, it all floods back. The smell of his cologne. The way his fingertips would rest on my hip like I belonged to him. The lies I swallowed just to feel seen. I dated someone new for a while. A good man. Safe. Kind. He brought me sunflowers, remembered my birthday, and never once made me question my worth. But I ruined it. Not because I cheated, God no. I couldn't. Not again. But because I was numb. I kept waiting for that spark. That reckless hunger. That chaos disguised as love. Chris taught me something I didn't want to learn. That once you've tasted the fire, everything else feels like ash. I finally told my therapist about him. She listened. Didn't judge. Just asked one question. Do you think you miss him, or the version of you that felt wanted by him? That question still echoes in me. Because the truth is, I never really loved Chris. I loved who I became around him. I loved the fantasy, the illusion that I could matter so much, he'd risk everything for me. But he never did. He never intended to. And deep down, I knew that. I chose to ignore it. Sometimes people say things like you were young or everyone makes mistakes. But they don't know how a single night can change the entire way you see yourself. They don't know what it's like to be someone's secret. To carry the shame like skin. To remember every touch and wonder if it was real, or just convenient. Megan and I never spoke again after that message. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Because what would I even say? Sorry I helped you doubt yourself? Sorry I wore your boyfriend's hoodie while you waited for him at home? There's no apology that makes that better. Only silence. Only space. I still see Chris online sometimes. He and Megan broke up 6 months after everything came out. She moved on. He didn't. His photos look the same. Same grin. Same charming eyes. But when I look closer, there's a hollowness. Like he knows what he lost. Not me. Her. Because no matter how many nights he spent in my bed, his heart was never mine to hold. It was always halfway back at her apartment. Sitting quietly in a drawer she never thought to open. And me? I'm still healing. Not from losing him. But from losing myself in the idea that I needed to be wanted to be worthy. There are days I look in the mirror and still see the girl from that hotel room. But now I speak to her gently. I don't hate her. She was desperate. Lonely. Human. She thought being touched meant being loved. She thought giving everything might earn something real. She was wrong. But I forgive her. Every single day. So if you're listening to this, and you've been that girl, the other one, the hidden one, the one who hoped too much, I want you to know something. You are not your worst mistake. You are not the nights you stayed silent. You are not someone else's secret. You deserve a love that doesn't hide you. That sees you in daylight. That stays. And even if that love hasn't arrived yet, don't trade yourself away to feel less alone. Because being chosen once isn't worth disappearing forever.